Life Audio.
Today on Talk About That, John gets a present straight from the garbage and starts a militia. Meanwhile, I wreck my first car spectacularly and tell John about the longest baseball game in history. Plus a conversation about choosing hope over fear and how our actions can make deserts or forests. Today's episode is not sponsored by Bubble Tea. When you want a drink, you can chew. But first, a word from our actual sponsor.
Guys, it's another week. It's another installment of Talk About That.
Oh, installment.
Yeah, changing it up this week. I usually say episode. Now it's an installment.
We're installers. We're your helpful podcast installers.
Every time I do something, I don't know where it came from, but I'll do something like...
You say installed?
Installed, yeah, every time.
That's from Seinfeld.
Okay.
It's when Jerry's apartment is burning up and he gets a new window air conditioning unit in his New York apartment, and it's 12,000 BTUs of cooling power, and Kramer's overselling it to Jerry. Jerry's like, okay, I'll do it, and he buys it on the black market or something, and then Kramer brings it in, opens the window, sets it in the windowsill, and lowers the blinds on it and goes, installed. And so we used to always say that in the band days too. Whenever we would do, like, shoddily put something together, you just walk away and say installed.
Well, that lets you know how I roll, because every time I shoddily do something, which is a lot, apparently.
Installed. We've installed many podcasts into your lives, and shoddily.
It's funny to me that I have all these downstream sayings. That's how long we've been friends.
Yeah.
And I don't always know from whence they came.
I think most cultures that way, but definitely most friendships that way, where you don't even remember anymore why you say it because he said it, and he might have it. He might say it because his grandma said it. Or whatever. Or it might be from a movie quote, like you said, that you forgot the show quote, you forgot the show. Yeah. You forgot Seinfeld somehow.
Well, I know.
Your memory holds Seinfeld.
I like Seinfeld, but I think the term is, or the phrase is from you.
Yeah.
You see, you would say a lot of things and not necessarily tell us where they came from.
Sometimes we had our bass player, his name was Finley, we called him Finn, and he would say Finstalled. If you remember that. He would sit and say Finstalled. So he would have his own little spin on it. Spin-stalled. No.
Come on now.
Hey now. Hey. John, how are you doing, friend?
You know what? I'm hanging in, Johnny. I got nothing. People always say, I can't complain. And what I say to them is, well, you could, but it's good that you're not. Yeah. So I think we could all complain, but I'm trying not to.
Joe Walsh said, I can't complain, but sometimes I still do. Life's been good to me so far. One of the great rock songs of... You don't know that song? Life's been good to me so far? John, are you serious?
Who's the band?
It was a Joe Walsh who used to play in the Eagles. Okay. He had a solo record, and you would know the song if I played it for you.
I'm sorry. I can't. That line does not stick out to me. Yeah. And I feel no shame. There's a sense of like, you should know this, John.
I'm not trying to shame you.
But it's okay. No. I'm okay with who I am.
Dig into the catalog of one Joe Walsh.
I want to know how many listeners knew exactly.
Yeah, I have a feeling you're the one. You're the one.
Sorry, guys.
You're standing in a field somewhere.
I bet if I heard
some are young. We don't have younger listeners, but if we did, they would not know.
Don't say we don't have younger listeners. You don't know that.
That's true. I'm besmirching. Gosh. Yeah, I don't mean to besmirch us.
Johnny limits our demographics.
I don't mean to. I know my. I think my father-in-law listens.
Oh, great.
And he's 84.
Yeah. Well,
so he he puts the curve out there.
Yeah.
So that. Yeah. He's definitely probably the high end.
Yeah. Shout out to Mr. David.
Shout out to David.
Yeah.
My father-in-law. He's a wonderful man. Amazing man. Hey, we're planning another bucket list trip for him.
Oh yeah.
He got his passport.
Because you're going to, if I remember correctly. Wait, why does he need a passport?
We're going to Bimini. No, we're not going. We're going to Niagara Falls.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to cross over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to go because the Canadian side's the better. The Horseshoe Falls. The American Falls is very underwhelming.
I've never been.
There are the American side of Niagara Falls. We have waterfalls in state parks that are better than the American Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
But the Horseshoe Falls, which you see in all the postcards, is in Ontario.
Guys, Johnny dropping some truth bombs right now. I mean, he's calling out our American
I don't mean to
national
listen.
Parks.
I'm saying saying tomorrow at dawn we ride. We're taking this land back. Listen, we're that close.
I think you and I would make a really interesting militia.
Don't you?
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It would be unassuming,
Right.
possibly unarmed. But
Probably. Probably. We just have our words.
hey,
You, I've got a good argument to make. They go, well, that's not.
do you find it interesting that the British police don't carry firearms? Or do they now?
I don't know. The bobbies, they got
Yeah.
the little baton things.
Yeah.
They swing
the
them around.
clubs.
Hey, now.
Yeah.
Little clubs, little billy clubs.
I wonder if they don't call them bobby clubs.
Right. Why is it a billy club, not a bobby club?
Yeah. I wonder. I don't know.
I don't either. Maybe they don't call them that.
Right.
Maybe they don't call it a billy club.
They call it a.
They call it a tiny baseball bat.
Can you say that in a British accent?
Don't make me hit you with my tiny baseball bat. Halt, or I shall yell, halt again. They have no,
I feel like that they would have to train more than like stateside officers in the art of running.
Or just de-escalation.
Yeah.
Let's try to keep this.
If you pull out your billy club and like, stop, then they could just run.
Right.
You pull out a gun and say stop.
More than likely.
Right. You're not going to outrun what a gun can do.
Yes.
But you ever tried throwing a billy club?
Mm-mm.
I mean,
I haven't.
It's hit or miss, Johnny, literally.
Do you have a billy club?
Actually, I do.
Don't you have it? You have a thing in your house, right? Don't you have a thing that's like by your bed?
Well, yeah, I do. So it was my
I keep a golf club by my bed.
Funny.
And I've forgotten where it is all the time. It's behind the little curtains. So like I don't know that in a daze I would remember to get it. It's more likely that the intruder would spot it and be like, "Oh, this is even better than the weapon I've brought. This is even thanks so much. How convenient."
It's funny. So the little bat I have is an antique because my great-grandfather, among other things, one of the things he did
played in the major leagues.
He was a garbage man.
Oh.
Back in the day where garbage was cool. Because he would always come home with cool stuff.
The golden age of garbage.
Yeah, like you don't want to go through that stuff now. But back then people, so it was like some commemorative type little bat that someone threw away.
Yeah.
That, I mean, when I say bat, like I'm if you're watching the video right now, I mean, it's like a foot long.
Oh, okay. So it's a billy club.
And so, I mean, it's like solid wood, something they, give away at a baseball game or whatever. And he gave it, I'm assuming, to my dad. My dad was very close to his grandfather.
Right.
And I remember it came down to me. I was probably, 4 or 5. And I have this very vivid, like, core memory of being outside after church on a really sunny day, and they'd given me this bat, which, it's a weapon, right? I mean, that's all little boys.
You're going to start swinging it at something. Yeah. You're going to hit something.
I'm just swinging the bat, and I hit, we call him Granddaddy. I hit Granddaddy's car. Yeah, I didn't mean to, and I got in big trouble. I remember crying and stuff.
Did you dent it? Did you?
No, again. This is early '80s.
I don't think you could dent a car now with a bat. I don't think much has changed.
But I keep the bat now. But have you ever been to one of those car bashing fundraisers?
There's a few of those that do there's a couple of businesses that do it.
Yeah.
There's one called Smash It. And it is like a thing where you go and you pay a fee. Yeah. And it's more if you want to smash glass. But they put you in a room and they've got old cars or old when Habitat donates windows that they couldn't use or whatever, they'll go get them. And then they put them in this room. And so you're in this room and you can smash everything in the room. And there's Car Bash. Car Bash was a thing that you would do for missions fundraiser.
Was it you or my wife? I can't remember. Someone we knew, they did that and they brought an old 70s car and nobody could put a dent in it. Because it was like a big tank.
That's great.
People just hit it all day with a baseball bat. It did nothing. That's
funny.
The fundraiser really kind of failed on that front. And the glass will still break.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, you want to see a really compacted, beat up car by the end of it, and then you just show a car that well, this would still. Yeah. We could probably still sell this.
Sell this now for more money for the fundraiser.
Yeah. I don't know.
I wonder if your original car, the Valero, Valari.
I had a Valari. My original car was a Buick Electra.
That's right.
It was definitely hard to beat up. It was a big old boat.
Yeah.
Big, gigantic, one of those big land yachts. You could probably put my current car in the trunk of that car. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You could just throw it in there or launch it from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it was definitely hard to beat up. I found a way though. I ran it into a telephone pole.
That'll do it. That's a big bat.
Yeah.
Coming out of the ground.
Turns out that is.
It's a billy club that stretches to the sky.
That's a William club. He has grown all the way up. And yeah, so I did that. So that's how that car went to the great beyond, and I almost with it. And my buddy Brent, I was coming around a curve, and I had fixed my master cylinder of my brakes myself, which is it was installed, as it were. And I was going a little faster on the curve anyway, and my brakes didn't slow me down enough, and I started hydroplaning back and forth on this curve.
Was it wet?
It was a little bit wet, and I ended up. I had bald tires too. You know, you're a kid. You can't.
Right.
You know, if you get your tires go bald, it's like, well, I guess I have bald tires. And I hydroplaned so much that I hit a telephone pole on the right side of the road with the left side of my door.
Wow.
That's how out of control I was.
Wow.
And so I pretty much wrapped it around that telephone pole. And
did it hurt you? Because it was on your side. Was it on the front or like right in your door?
It's one of those accidents where I bounced off and onto my friend because I was not wearing a seatbelt. It's one of those where if I'd been wearing a seatbelt, I would have probably been pinned or killed because it was so folded in.
And you just walked away from that?
I didn't walk away. I got up and got out, but then the shock, and then it set in, and then I was pretty much like bedridden for like a week and a half. I had bruised kidneys and
Did they take you by
bruised
ambulance?
ribs. They took me by ambulance.
Oh, okay, so
yeah, I was 18. I'd been driving like 6 months. I didn't get my license until I was 17.
I don't need to hear these stories right now.
It was awful, right? And so, that was one of those. And my best friend Brent was in the car with me, and so I could have killed us both that night. It was not a great time. But yeah, it's all. So don't fix your own brakes, kids.
The moral of the story:
if Sadie wants to work on her own brakes,
right?
John, just say, hey, let's take it to a shop. What if we took it to the people who know about brakes?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was going fast too. I mean, I wasn't going like 100, but I was probably going 10 or 15 over.
Yeah.
Over around a curve,
That'll do it.
That's not great. Yeah, it's not great.
Faulty brakes.
And just the inertia of this car. If I showed you the car, I mean, it is a humongous car. They don't make cars this big anymore. Even like a Lincoln Navigator wouldn't weigh as much as this car.
Wow.
I mean, that's how big these old, 70s Buicks were.
Yeah.
And it was too much car for me.
Yeah.
And you put a 17-year-old behind that and you can just, it's not great, John.
No.
But we made it out. I don't know where I was going with that story, but yes, these old cars, you can dent them, but it takes a lot of
big Billy Club,
a big gigantic Billy Club.
Yeah.
But we used to talk about that car. To your point, we used to talk about that car as, why don't you just donate this thing to the church, whatever thing? And I'd be like, no, I'm still driving it. They would always make fun of it. Be like, this car, because I think I gave like $100 for it.
Wow.
That's. And it needed a transmission, and I think I paid a neighbor or something like $400 to put a transmission in it. So I had like $500 in the car.
Wow.
And
you'd probably still be driving it today.
I drove it for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good investment.
We painted it was green. It was mean. It was mint green, and we painted it with like spray paint. Black. So it was like the flattest rat rod black.
Yeah.
It was awful.
And it had a great look to it, I bet.
It did. It was a real woman getter. You can't imagine how popular I was.
You know what else has a great look, Johnny?
What's that? What's that, John?
I don't know.
Commerce. The free market economy, John.
This is why I've been trying to get you to take us out lately. Again, it's not. I've been looking for an end here on your story without being disrespectful to your story because I want to hear the whole thing.
No, I get it.
But how do I get us?
How do
I wrap this thing around a pole so we can stop?
That's right. There's no way. You can't stop me, even if I wrap around a pole. I flaunt safety, and I go, I'm not wearing a seatbelt, and I walked out.
That's right.
Take that.
Yeah, moral of the story, don't wear a seatbelt.
By the way, kids, please wear your seatbelts. The next ad will be for the safety commission or whatever.
Yeah. Hey, let's take, whoever it is, let's take a moment here, a word from a few of our sponsors. Safety commission ads.
Yeah, you never know.
That's funny.
Click it or ticket. Remember, when did that come out? The click it or ticket people.
Wasn't it like mid 2000s?
Yeah. It's whoever came up with that, that's catchy as all get out. Isn't it?
It is.
I mean, somebody was sitting around with a click it or ticket. Oh, God. They ran. They didn't walk. They ran down the hall with that idea.
See, I would have never, when you write something about seatbelts, I never would have thought of the sound.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'd be like, I don't know, something about the lap belt or whatever, and it'd get weird all of a sudden.
Lap belt or slap belt? Just show like a officer abusing you. That's weird.
I don't know, but I do want to write not jingles necessarily, but slogans and some jingles too. You've done some car commercials.
Well, and I did there was an ad agency that hired me to do their 10th anniversary dinner, and they invited all of their clients over the past 10 years. It was Celebrate. It was in Searcy, Arkansas. And so they were like, hey, come out. So I did this thing, and I had this idea. I had done a couple of corporate events leading up to this, and they were just okay. And I was like, ooh, these are hard.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard.
Yeah.
Because they're not there to see a comedy show. They're there for a dinner, or they're there for some training, and then you're brought out, and they're like, who is this guy?
Right, and they were required to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought, this is tough. And I asked a friend of mine, like, what do you do to make it better? Because he did a lot of corporates. And he goes, find out about the company and then write some jokes about the company. And then sometimes that'll really land. I go, oh. So I did. I went and found all of their clients. And then I asked Jeffrey, our buddy Jeffrey, who's good with Photoshop. I said, take these logos, and then I'll rewrite their slogans, and I'll be like, listen, this ad agency stuff, I appreciate you've been doing this 10 years, but so in the middle of my show, I started doing this, just dressing down their clients.
Oh, but they loved it.
I go, listen, being an ad agency, I know you guys have a lot of money wrapped up in this company, but this job ain't hard. I go, I got Photoshop, I got fonts. And so I started showing one of them was like Avery's, it was like a ranch that did like they built, or they had cattle, and so they had a ranch, and they sold to markets and stuff.
Okay.
And I put like Avery's Farm, raising the steaks, and I spelled STAK. It's just so stupid. But then I did one. It was like A1 vacuum repair. We work with dirt bags, which we've used as an actual, not sponsored by on our show. Our products suck, and we work with dirt bags. That was one. And then one of them was like a pharmacy, the local pharmacy that was a real client. And I was like, we standing a foot above you for no reason since 1972 or whatever. And they all, again, it went well, thank God, because I had like 10 of these. Yeah. Just like, and if they don't land, you're just like, you've offended 10 people in the room now. They're number one clients. But I don't know. But yeah, it's fun. But like, yeah, I think I could do it. But I can only do it in a snarky way, and I don't know. That doesn't always sell. Like, you want to be sincere. Like, it's tough for me to do sincere.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that.
Just in general. Heartfelt is not my brand, John.
I will say, we got to get in the quote of the week, but I will say, I'm really loving what Geico is doing right now, which I know nothing about Geico's actual insurance.
Yeah.
I know that they sometimes have ads on our podcast. Maybe we'll hear, but I love the fact they brought back the caveman as this very offended. Yeah. He's now offended at the gecko or at any of the other things that Geico does, I just think that's a very funny, callback. I wonder if the new generations understand those old ads.
Do they remember?
It was so easy a caveman could do it, and he was offended back then. And now he's down the...
He's freshly offended.
He's down the road. His life has moved on, and things keep bringing it back, for him. So I just thought that was...
Yeah, he's in bed with his wife, and they're watching TV, and then the Geico ad comes on, and he has to deal with it. Yeah. She's like, it's okay.
Or they're playing not charades, but the one where you draw.
Oh, Pictionary, yeah.
Yeah, or whatever. And, the thing is Geico. No, actually, it's Heads Up. But she has the word, and it's Geico. She's like, pass. He's like, honey, we don't pass. Yeah. And she's like, well, great service. And it's just so brilliant because they describe what they want you to know about Geico in it, And then the other guy's like, maybe you should just use a British accent, or whatever. And he just looks at him like, oh my gosh, Yeah. Anyway, it's funny. There's that time, though.
Yes.
A little
John's quote of the week.
It is. A little segment we call They Talked About That.
It was better.
It was better
last
than last week.
Was, I apologize for last week. I don't know what was going on.
It made me so happy.
I had a sinus infection or something.
When I was editing, I laughed so hard. I was like, this is great. This is great. This week is James Lovelock. It's pretty short. Yeah. He says, sadly, it's much easier to create a desert than a forest.
Mm. Yeah. And
I thought, we were talking at lunch about just the state of the world, I think. You and I have, everyone's like, they always want to know, some listeners are like, I want to know what y'all talk about at lunch because you always talk about all that, and that's how the podcast started. Sometimes it's just dark, like we just kind of...
right. We're just venting to each other.
Yeah. Today was one of those days.
Yeah.
A couple things. And I was talking about the fact that I've been hopeless before. Mm-hmm. And I'm at a point in life now where I'm saying I never want to ever do that again. Hope has become a real, like, I'm going to have to choose this. Like, no matter what happens...
well, it takes courage. It takes courage. It's easy. Cynicism is just so easy because you can just be like, I knew that was going to happen.
Right.
I knew it. I knew people were going to let me down. It's like to hope in people takes real courage,
And they will. And that's the thing. Hope doesn't always bring the outcomes, that you necessarily are hoping for. So I think to me, it's like even hoping in something in a higher good than even what the outcomes can produce or not produce. And we're talking, I said, I think of people having hope while they're in a concentration camp, knowing they're going to die. Like, where does that come from? That is not hope of an outcome. That's hope of a reality higher, bigger than who they are. And I just think it's easier to create a desert, to tear things down, to burn things up, than it is to plant something that's going to grow over time. I was writing today. We were delivering some food to a school with one of our new staff members named Kiko. Kiko's amazing. And we were talking about that, about what it takes in the patience, to be a person of patience. I mean, a forest doesn't grow fast. Even with this like market downturn, our financial advisor was saying, hey, the market always goes down on an elevator, but it comes back up on an escalator. It's slower to regain. You can lose so much, but to gain, it will gain usually, but it takes more time. And I just think it's that concept to want something that lasts. And forest means a lot to me. We're the church at Pleasant Grove, and that's a lot of the vision for me truly of our church is I want to see a grove, like if we're trees, the scriptures say we're trees of righteousness, that I want to see the intentional planting, intentional spacing, intentional pruning, that together the grove is stronger than one tree just out in the middle of a field. But I can tell you this, you don't grow those things quickly. Mm-hmm. You can cut them down quickly. You can't grow them quickly. And there are seasons, if there's a drought or there's a major freeze, that those things may be stunted for a season. That they have to be tended to differently. But I just want to be the guy making a forest and not a desert, Johnny. I just want to be that guy, and I'm not sure I'm that guy all the time, and it's okay to feel and to vent and all those things, but I want to always come back. It's not where you go, I think it's where you come back to. I don't be the guy I'm looking for making a forest.
And the thing about hope, too, like, I've been thinking about that a lot, too. There was a quote, I think it was Adam Grant, who we both follow on Instagram and Twitter. He's great. Yeah. I don't know what he does. Is he a sociologist?
He's a professor, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he's always got these really thoughtful things to say. And he was talking about the data from this study about people who, I'm trying to not butcher the idea of it, but it was basically that if you expect the worst and get it every time versus someone who hopes for the best and then has a negative outcome anyway, that person is still happier than the person who expected the worst and got it. So we think we're protecting ourselves from sadness by going like, well, I expect the worst of people, and when they give it to me, I'm not disappointed. So I'm still going to be better than this poor sap who hopes all the time. And he said that the data is clear that like there's been studies done and like it's not true. This idea that you're protecting yourself from sadness by expecting the worst, it's proven false.
Has that been your experience though?
I do. I mean, I definitely believe that. I mean, I swing negative. I'm a suspicious person. I'm a skeptical person. And so that I don't think it served me. I think it served me in some respects, but I think in other respects, it's not been great. I think when you hope for the best and then it doesn't work out, you're still better off because you are right some of those times.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that it's about you're like trying to preserve your mental health by being like, all right, do I want to get my hopes up for this person who's let me down 20 times in a row or whatever it is, whatever situation. But I don't know. I'm just saying that's what his quote was. That's what his data says. It is interesting.
I wonder if it has to do with the fact that the amount of time in the whole scenario, you're happier because you spent more time in a hopeful state than you did in a cynical state, regardless of the outcome.
Right.
Because to me personally, it feels like the higher the hopes, the harder the fall, you know? But if I'm in a hopeful place, then I wasn't, at least. If you're cynical, then it's just bad start to finish, you know?
Right.
I wonder if it's that time.
Plus, it's not like it's a spectrum. It's not like we're imagining some Pollyanna pie in the sky person who is always like, you know, they get a flat tire. Well, isn't this an adventure? Like an insufferably positive person who, you know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just in general, we're if you're around somebody who expects the best or expects good things to happen, they're a more pleasant person to be around, and they have a better life. Even if they don't have the best circumstances all the time. I mean, that's the thing. The rain falls on the just and the unjust, and we know that good things are going to happen and bad things are going to happen. Some of those bad things you're not going to feel like you deserved.
Yeah,
that's just part of life. And so, how are we going into it? I don't know if that relates to the quote very much, but I just thought of it because you were talking about hope as well. So
no, it reminds me too. I know we've had some people reach out about this, and I do plan on writing about this actually in a book because I want to write on hope more. I think me and Reggie are going to write on hope together. We were talking about because Reggie has so much. But for me, this is where I've landed, and that is prepare for what might be, hope for what could be. I'm saying it in different words as I said last time. Expect nothing but God's faithfulness, and then accept with grace and humility what is. That's another way it's kind of come to me. It's the difference between hope and expectation, I think, is so key. Hope is what I expect is God's faithfulness, and for me, another definition of hope is I keep looking for the good that is to come. And if it doesn't come in this thing I'm hoping for, I'm still looking. Again, that's that hopeful disposition you're talking about. I'm still looking for the good to come.
Yeah.
That's always coming, right? But my expectation, I want to get to the place where I expect nothing but that God's going to be good and that more good is to come. So interesting, yeah.
I expect good things from you, John.
Well, thanks, Johnny. I appreciate that. You're going to be greatly disappointed, regardless of what Adam Grant said. So,
Adam Grant, not a sponsor. John, let's do Johnny's old jokes. We call it Joke About That. I found this one today online, and I'd never seen it before, and it's a little bit of a story.
Okay.
One, so it's a little bit longer, but again, I don't know who wrote this, but I thought it was funny and apt. Dave was bragging to his boss one day, "You know, I know everyone there is to know. Just name someone, anyone, and I know them." Tired of his boasting, his boss called his bluff. "Okay, Dave, how about Tom Cruise?" No dramas, boss. "Tom and I are old friends, and I can prove it." So Dave and his boss fly out to Hollywood and knock on Tom Cruise's door, and Tom Cruise shouts, "Dave, what's happening? Great to see you. Come on in for a beer." Although impressed, Dave's boss is still skeptical. After they leave Cruise's house, he tells Dave that he thinks him knowing Cruise was just lucky. No, and just name anyone else, Dave says. "President Obama," his boss quickly retorts. "Yep," Dave says. This is clearly an old joke. "Yep," Dave says. "Old buddies, let's fly out to Washington." Off they go. At the White House, Obama spots Dave on the tour and motions him and his boss over, saying, "Dave, what a surprise. I was just on my way to a meeting. You and your friend come over and let's have a beer first and catch up." That's an interesting thing to say in the White House. Come on over. Come on into the White House. Well, the boss is very shaken by now, but not totally convinced still. After they leave the White House grounds, he expresses his doubts to Dave, who again implores him to name anyone else. "Pope Francis," his boss replies. "Sure," says Dave. "I've known the Pope for years," so off they fly to Rome. Dave and his boss are assembled with the masses at the Vatican, St. Peter's Square, when Dave says, "This will never work. I can't catch the Pope's eye among all these people. Tell you what, I know all the guards, so let me just go upstairs and I'll come out on the balcony with the Pope." He disappears into a crowd headed towards the Vatican. Sure enough, half an hour later, Dave emerges with the Pope on the balcony. But by the time Dave returns, he finds that his boss had a heart attack, and he's surrounded by paramedics. Making his way to his boss's side, Dave asks him, "What happened?" His boss looks up and says, "It was the final straw. You and the Pope came out on the balcony, and the man next to me said, 'Who the heck is that on the balcony with Dave?'" It's a great joke. It's a long one, but it's...
Yeah. Did he have to have a heart attack?
Listen, John.
I think we could have written that.
It's a true story. Listen, I'm just telling you what happened.
See, the reason that one works is because the longer it was, Right. That's why. Yeah. It had it. Yeah. It made you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. All right, John.
Which is my theory of my sermons, by the way. The longer they are.
Oh, man.
The more they draw you in.
Hey, I was there this Sunday, and let me tell you went over.
I didn't really go over.
Just a couple minutes. I look back. I saw red.
It was a little. Well, again.
And by that, I mean I was furious.
I
saw red numbers on the.
There were long announcements.
Yeah.
That were not me.
Does that play into your time?
Well, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, yes.
That goes on your time?
End of the day, So.
That's rough.
Which I made a joke about that with him.
You did.
Later on, I was like, hey, I hope that. Because he's new.
Oh, boy.
He was like, no, I loved it. I was like, okay, I'm going to do it more. So.
I'm going to tease you more. John, let's do This Week in History. We call it Talk About Then. John, this week, 1970, U.S. Vice President Spiro Agnew uses the term nattering nabobs of negativism to describe criticism of the Nixon administration. In the United States today, we have more than our share of the nattering nabobs of negativism. They have formed their own 4-H club, the hopeless, hysterical hypochondriacs of history. Wow. Of course, he was defending Nixon against Watergate accusations, while also being probably the most corrupt vice president we've ever had.
Yeah.
Literally was thrown out where he would be president.
Yeah.
He would have been made president. So, but he kind of was deflecting it by saying, like, y'all are just being negative.
Can I tell you, though, something?
Yeah.
All I hear out of this story?
What?
I hear the difference in the statesmanship between now and 50 years ago.
Right. Even when
you're the bad guy, at least you could put together
say nattering nabobs of negativism. Yeah.
I long for statesmanship. Guys, at this point, sorry, go ahead.
The hysterical hypochondriacs. It's just interesting to call somebody a hypochondriac when they actually we were really sick as a country. It's like, y'all are just being hypochondriacs.
There's nothing.
Well, actually, all of our leadership's corrupt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, John, this week, 1967, the variety sketch TV show, The Carol Burnett Show, premiered on CBS. It starred Carol Burnett, Harvey Korman, Vicki Lawrence, Lyle Wagner. Now, listen, I know we skew a little older when we mention like these parts of history where it's a part of my childhood. And of course, I chose it because I loved The Carol Burnett Show. But I do think it's revisiting. And if somebody is new, say they're in their 20s, say we've got a, whatever, a zennial and millennial listener and viewer, just go watch Google, YouTube Carol Burnett bloopers.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, you'll laugh. They hold up so well.
Yeah.
They're so great. Tim Conway making Harvey Korman break. It's just the best show. Anyway, I just love it too because it was a clean sketch show, which I feel like our buddy Nate Bargassi is trying to like bring back into the culture. Yeah. Like he has a couple things coming up. One of them that I wanted to promote that I'm not a part of that I know of, but it would be great if he wants to. We'll see. No, but he actually did sign a deal to do a Christmas variety special.
Oh, fun!
That's going to be shot at the Opry.
Oh, great!
So, and Lorne Michaels is producing it.
Wow!
From SNL. So it's like this cool marriage of those two things. So who knows what's going to be in store? But I think that's what he has his eye on is this idea of like these old variety shows or like the Carol Burnett Show where there's a little bit of comedy, there's some sketch. A little bit of music, probably, because it's the Opry. There'll be some country music, probably. Some Christmas elements. But I'm excited for that and excited for Nate. So
Carol Burnett's still acting.
Right. Yeah.
She's in
She
Palm
turned
Royale.
90. Yeah, she turned 90 last year. And, she was nominated, I think, for an episode arc that she had on Better Call Saul.
Okay.
And now she's in, I don't know, this Palm Royale show. But
I didn't finish it.
Oh. Okay.
It was good, and then it just kept going.
Too much Carol Burnett for you? John, come on, man. She's 91.
I'm sorry, guys.
Leave her alone.
Yeah, forgive me.
John, the longest Major League Baseball game took place this week, 1974. The San Francisco Giants beat the New York Mets 8-6 after how long? How long do you think? How many innings?
Innings. Okay, not time.
Well, I'll give you the time, too.
I'm going to say innings. Longest one, I'm going to go 23.
23 innings?
Is that right?
You look.
No, I didn't.
You have the link.
That was my guess, yeah.
23 innings. How long do you think the game lasted?
Was there a rain delay, or is this all just straight through?
This is all straight through, evidently. It doesn't say rain delay.
Okay, I'm going to go...
Because the innings was just like how long the game was because they couldn't break the tie.
32 hours.
Wait.
Did I get it right?
No. Why would a game go... You have to sleep at some point.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I said 7 hours, 23 minutes.
I thought you were going to say...
That's why you never let somebody guess. They go crazy. You're like, no, why would they...
I like it.
You got 23 innings, but you think it took 32 hours? to play 23 innings.
I just look at. I
Think
thought
about
this
what
has
you're
to be
saying.
crazy. I feel like
That's a day and a half, John.
I feel like every baseball game is 7 hours. Like right now.
That's a
have you
day.
Have you ever watched a full pro
It's
baseball
not
game?
32 hours.
No, but I've been to many games. I guess I should have thought of the rain delay. The Cardinals game I went to
You've
last
lost
year.
your
Okay.
mind. All right, finally,
sorry, guys.
John. Finally, John.
75 hours.
This week, 1979, the National Hunting and Fishing Day was declared by presidential proclamation to be celebrated yearly on the fourth Saturday in September. I wasn't aware of this.
Is it
Do you know that
1979?
1979? I guess they were trying to figure out a way to keep people outside. Maybe there was like an overpopulation. I don't know what the whole point of it was, but this was declared in 1979 by presidential proclamation. Who would have been president? That would have been Carter.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Let's get outside. Let's hunt and fish. Come on, y'all." What? That's pretty good, Carter.
That's pretty good. Can you say?
No, let's do this.
Can you say? Let's read our Bible in the woods.
Let's read our Bible in the woods. Let's go.
It's got a
felt-
little Bill
Clinton in
Yeah,
it, but
you
he was
Clinton.
softer. He's a little bit softer,
Yeah.
but he has a very southern.
Yeah.
Okay, Georgia. He's a Georgia Democrat.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, so the reason I brought it up is because I was thinking like, you didn't grow up hunting and fishing. You grew up fishing because we
Fishing.
talked about the fishing events that you would do at church,
Yeah.
which they called fishing rodeos.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
is fun.
Yeah, we hosted those. Yeah.
But did you?
Have you ever ridden a fish?
Did you
haven't
grow
lived.
Did you lasso that fish? Hog time. Did you? These were weird fish. Did you go hunting though? You weren't like around.
I did the hunter safety course,
Okay.
and I think I went hunting like a couple times.
Was this a wearing the orange vests kind of a situation? Yeah.
I did deer hunting, I think, once.
Did you go up in a deer stand?
No.
These deer stands. It's a whole culture.
I've helped my father-in-law put up many deer stands, though.
I've seen deer stands where like it helps you climb the tree. You can move it up
that's
the
what he
thing,
does,
and
yeah.
it's got little levers and it grabs on, and you can. Then when you get up and you just sit in the chair and you just you
It's
wait.
like a big
right?
ladder, and it kind of has like little claws that goes in the tree. Then you strap it down, and he climbs up.
Yeah.
I climbed up there to
and
help
then you just
strap
wait.
it down. So
You just sit there. And you got to be quiet. That would be hard for us.
I think
we'd be bad at hunting because
I think I could.
we would just get in it. You think?
I just don't get enough sleep already. That's the thing. He will get up at like
But I'm saying
3:30.
by yourself. I'm saying, but if you have a buddy, you want to have time with your
Oh,
buddy.
no, yeah.
I would not shut up. And then
I'd be
the
like,
deer are
"Shut up,
like,
Johnny."
"Don't go near those guys that are talking."
Yeah. How come the deer aren't quiet? Apparently they're talking.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we can't.
Why can't we communicate? You're right. You're right.
Do you ever speak for the deer when you pass by them?
Speak for the deer?
Yeah, like you speak for your dog.
I say, "Whoa, buddy." I try to,
Okay.
"Hey."
My
What do
thing
you
is always
say?
like,
You speak for the, you give the deer a personality?
it's just a funny thing to me to like, hey, we're deer. Like it's like this. They're
Wait a
just
minute.
thinking about the fact
That's
that
the
they're
thoughts-
deer. That's
You-
all they think of.
Yeah.
We're just out here in the field and we're just deer. Mm-hmm. Like what else would they say? Because I don't see a lot of intelligence that run into the road.
You know what?
I don't mean to besmirch the deer community. I'm just saying.
Well, it's our fault. We put our neighborhoods in their, habitat.
we put our neighborhoods in their neighborhoods.
Right. And so.
Yeah, why are they calling? Why can't we just call what they have neighborhoods? Why does theirs a habitat?
Yeah.
And ours is a neighborhood. See, this is what's wrong with the country today.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Do you
That's
think
not at all.
neighborhood comes from the word "nay"? Like, because there was a lot of horses out there and we went,
Neighbor?
no, probably not.
I don't know.
That's being.
I don't know the etymology of neighborhood.
But I do think, yeah, it is. So you speak, you put yourself.
I don't do it a
That's
lot.
how much of an empath you are.
I'm just saying, yeah, like I'm totally connected to the deer
Yeah.
herd.
Yeah. Is there a herd of deer?
I don't know. What
What
are they?
would it be called?
They're
It's
not a
a-
flock.
No, it's not a flock.
School or a
Pride.
pride of deer. One has a big mane.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be something? You don't know. Well, I think it's great that you sympathize. You empathize. Or you're just annoyed because you're like, please don't destroy my car.
It's not even my car. I don't want it. We passed by a small deer that had been hit.
Oh, no.
And it brought tears to my daughter's eyes. And
Yeah, of course.
I knew because I passed it coming and
Yeah.
coming back. I was like, oh no. And
Yeah.
so it's one of those like, yeah, don't do it. So
Right.
like I'll see they're on the edge of the interstate now. I'll see them sitting there just watching. I'm like, guys, don't do it.
Yeah.
Like
Easy.
think through what's happening.
Yeah.
If you see that.
Go towards the woods.
Why do those not feel like predators to you? You run from predators, run from
Right.
those big metal predators. You know what I'm
But
saying?
I will say this, my wife, so a deer came into the road. She stopped just in time. The deer's there, right by her, like, driver's side mirror. And she's like, okay, we're okay. And then the deer kicked up its back legs and just boom against my wife's door as it fled into the. So it had a little bit of aggressive. And she goes, a deer kicked my door, and she was trying to show me where there's a little scratch. It didn't dent the door, but it.
Well,
he didn't have like a billy club.
I was going to say, this is all.
Only the deer had.
We have come full circle.
Yeah. But that deer kind of, look, hey, I stopped short. I did the right thing. And the deer's like, here's
you know what?
2 for flinching. I don't know what that was about, but the deer was the bully in that scenario.
She chose.
If I ever see that deer again.
Right. He's getting a good.
He's going to get a.
Stern talking to.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I can tell you what to say.
You can tell you. John knows exactly what the deer's thinking.
Look, I know what you're thinking right now. I'm a deer.
Yeah.
And I know that means you can't understand what I'm saying. So.
Well, maybe the deer was like, that's for what you did to Cletus. Because the deer, a red car had hit.
Seriously, we drove up and a deer was laying down. It was sitting up, but it was not standing up.
Yeah.
In the road.
Yeah.
And we passed by. It was at night. We passed by. It was in the left lane. And Sadie was like, "Oh no," and it was like horrible. Mm-hmm. So without telling her, I went and took the family home, and I went back out.
Right.
And I was going to go
try to get the
check
deer
on the deer. Right.
Right.
The deer was gone.
Yeah.
But another deer was standing there staring at where that deer had been.
Interesting.
And I parked the car.
How do you know it wasn't the same deer?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I parked the car and walked around because that deer was there for something. That deer was watching for something.
Huh.
And I walked up and down looking in the ditches to see if the other deer, was there because cars have been coming up and down. Could never find an injured deer, but that either the deer that had got up and stood up to the side or the one that was watching stood and watched me. He'd back away, but would never leave.
And you think about it every day now.
And I'm thinking, I wonder what he was thinking.
What happened to that deer?
It's probably beyond.
If you have any information, dear listener, about the whereabouts of this deer,
go to talkaboutthatpodcast.com.
And you can send us a note at the bottom right-hand corner.
We need answers.
Or just email hello@talkaboutthatpodcast.com. Also, we love our patrons. You can support the show by clicking that upper right-hand link, and you can get ad-free content that way.
Yeah. Any information helps, really. You never know how much it will contribute to the investigation.
Thanks for helping us out.
Yeah. You guys should check out Jonnie W, JonnieW.com.
New shows popping up all the time. I got a show at Zany's coming up at the lab, working on some new material there, and Jonnie W and Friends, we're going to call it. Ooh. So I got a bunch of pals and some surprise guests coming up. That's November 6th, which I found out is the day after the election, so should be a great crowd.
Yeah, they're going to be super happy.
Can't wait. People just getting out, stretching their legs.
You think this is my chance to come do my 5?
If you want.
A solid 5.
You're a friend of Jonnie W.
I've been waiting for this moment my whole life.
I would love it.
I would love it.
You won't do it. Come on. Bring your billy club.
I would only do it if you help me write the 5.
John, that's not.
You write with your comedy friends all the time.
Yeah, but.
You don't think I can deliver.
I do.
Johnny, I stand and deliver comedy every Sunday.
I don't know what you'd be delivering, but you could deliver. No, you'd be
People are like, this is not supposed to be funny.
Yeah, it's fine.
Hey guys, thanks for the time you gave us today. It means a lot. Frill, send us your messages, your comments, your concerns. We'd love to hear about them. And we'll see you next week on
Talk About That.